Console, online. HPG connection, online. Educational module, online. All systems, nominal.
Hello, class, and welcome to On the Origin of Battlemechs Podcast, episode 87. I am your host, Brent Stewart, and my co-hosts today are...
I'm Chandler.
And I'm Derek.
And today we are going to talk about the Hussar, a 30-ton little scout strike mech that is quite interesting, if only interesting to look at and gawk at, because it is also kind of ugly.
Hey, whoa.
It's a face my mother could love.
The Hussar is very pretty. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just a big locust.
I mean, you're not wrong, but the stubby little arms are...
adorable.
Sure, let's go with that.
It can throw hams, man.
It can
throw hams.
It's a hammer.
So the Hussar is a staple of the SLDF scout units. It was the backbone of the SLDF scout tactics, with its speed being over 150 kilometers an hour, and speed is its armor in this case. The Hussar normally works with 2 or 3 other Hussar units to harass and disrupt supply lines, pin down units, and wreak havoc along the battle line, when they are not scouting, that is. The Hussar was almost exclusively an SLDF machine, and so when the general left for parts unknown, the Hussar overnight became an endangered machine, and then soon extinct. It was until the ComStar let it be known to a select few, specifically Theodore Carita, that they could supply this machine, and then it was overtly known by 3052, for obvious reasons. At this point, the Coventry Metalworks licensed the design from Bonn Mech Armor Work and started producing it for the Armed Forces of the Federated Commonwealth and the Larian Alliance Armed Forces until the Jihad disrupted production on Coventry.
Hold on. What did they who did they license it from? What was their name? I
Bonn,
feel like they had a couple extra signifiers on there.
It's Bonn Mech with a K. Armor Works, and it works as in like the Earthworks with the ER.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, just the yes meme, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And then and then of course Laugh gets it because Laughy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it has the design quirks of having a torso-mounted weapon on the center torso, improved communications, and rugged one.
It's a cute little scout mech. It does things.
I mean, its stats are really good, aside from the armor.
Yeah, but...
I mean, the t-shirt I'm wearing right now is more armor that's on that thing.
I mean, it has more internal structure than it has armor. That's never a good sign. But it can, specifically the first unit, the Hussar Hsr-400-D, this guy can go 914, and it has a single ER large laser in the center torso and 10 double heat sinks. It's got a regular fusion engine and a ferro armor.
I love how with ferro armor, it only has 26 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has 10 double heat sinks. That's the coolest part about it. And its ER large only generates 12. So, like, it can lose at least trying to do math in public.
Good luck.
At least 4? Yeah, 4. 4 heat sinks, and it still is, like, heat neutral the entire time.
Why don't we say 3 so it can run?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go. I did forget about the running portion.
Yes.
Well, that, and I think all of them except for one are tied into the engine, so...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure they all are tied into the engine.
Okay.
You have to have 10, right?
So you have 10 weightless ones, but if the engine's not big enough, you have to put them in the regular slots.
Right, yes.
Mhm.
Because the engine's so small, some of them need to be external.
But I think with a 270, you can fit all 10 in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of the later models that have a smaller engine.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, I actually, for those of us that, live in the United States and don't go with kilometers, this thing's top speed is like 94 miles an hour in a mech. Like, that's
Over any
insane.
terrain.
Yeah, over terrain.
And it also weighs 30 tons. Did we mention that?
We
That it's
did.
going 90 miles an hour at 30
Yeah,
tons.
90 miles an hour at 30 tons.
So momentum is a thing. So that's why you're going to want to make sure you pass those PSR checks.
Indeed. I mean, all I'm saying is your enemy can run, but they're only going to die tired.
Yeah.
You can always Admiral Holden them.
And it's probably not going to be very far either. So,
And especially since this thing's got a ER large laser, so, it's got a long range weapon with a good punch, for harassing stuff at a distance and keeping its speed up. This is a decent first build.
Yeah, I do want to. Originally, when I looked at it before the podcast, I was like, Hussar, nah. Now I'm like thinking about it. I was like, that's an ER large laser on a 30-ton machine going 95 miles an hour.
And again, speed is its armor.
Exactly. It's just like it's the one. It's instead of little laser has strength, big laser has strength.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My only thing is that I feel like the ER large laser is a bit out of its depth with the role it tends to fill, with it being like a scout and harasser.
Mm-hmm.
They also used it as like a supply line harasser, and if you're just running up and like gunning down a bunch of light trucks and infantry and that stuff, the large laser's a bit much. Like you might want more lasers instead of one really big one, but then again, I mean, big laser have strength, so
yeah, either that or you're gonna be sitting at a distance on like a hill just sniping away with it, because it's like by the time they react to you, you're 95 miles an hour away from that. So
I could also see like a unit of these harassing a convoy from a ridgeline and just like popping back and then running however far they want and then popping back out, because they can do that, and they're just playing a weird game of whack-a-mole basically.
Yeah, where it's very difficult to respond to them.
Mm-hmm.
Even like trying to bring aerospace in against these guys would be difficult because how fast they're moving.
Yeah,
because by the time you're calling in a strike with like an aerospace fighter,
they're
probably gone.
See you later, buds.
But also, like, how it looks, it's definitely a bug mech. It also kind of looks like a Marauder because it's got that big ER large laser center torso, directly over the cockpit, just like that turret mount in the Marauder, and it's got the backward knee joints. The arms are like mounted directly off the center torso out front. Like this is one of the few machines that has the arms inside of its legs, which gives it a very distinctive look, and not my jam.
I'm a big fan of the 3025 revised art. It has it from like a almost level with the cockpit from like the 5 o'clock position if it's going straight like down.
Yes, okay.
And you get to see the arms, and they're kind of hanging out from underneath it, but you can still see, like, if it really wanted to run up and punch something, like a tank or, some poor infantryman who got caught out in the open, like, you're going to get punched.
Oh, yeah.
It'll throw hams.
It will.
Although I don't know how I feel about the art, because it has the design quirks of it being mounted in the center torso, the weapons, but it looks like it's on a turret there.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, it does kind of look like a tank turret.
I mean, it looks good.
Knowing the hegemony designers, they might have just literally gone, well, we have this tank we decided to not make, but, we need a large laser on this light mech. Let's just cut down all the extra space and slap it on top.
Yeah.
It's that one meme of like, the blocks where it's like sleep, food, and then like work, and then you have their hobby and is trying to figure out how to put it in, taking sleep out. Or can I?
Yeah.
That's what I think the designers were on this.
Can I fit a large laser on this? Or can I?
Well, this guy was seen in 2620, and he's got a battle value of 636 and a point value of 18, and a pretty solid first outing for a 30-ton scout machine. So next up we have the 200-DB, seen in 2735, and this guy has an installed XL power plant allowing for better armor, which is a good thing. And it also adds a Guardian ECM and a Beagle Active probe to help with that scouting abilities. So still keeps that 9-14 movement, the ER large laser in the center torso, the ECM is in the right torso, the probe is in the left torso. Still got 10 doubles. It's got that Pharaoh and an XL engine. I think the XL engine actually helps a whole lot because the armor it didn't have before was a huge problem.
Yeah. Like before, if you got hit with anything significant, it wouldn't matter whether you had an XL or not. You were probably dead. Now you can at least take a hit.
Yep.
A hit. A single hit.
Yes. Again, speed is armor.
Speed is armor. I will say the DB model, I'm I'm way more a fan of this because you're adding in that ECM, the Beagle Active, alongside the, big laser that has strength.
Mm-hmm.
So you're making it even more difficult to deal with the machine because it's like, one, I can see you before you see me kind of thing, and then two, like, you're jamming them out. Like,
Yep.
Perfect for raiding.
their comms and stuff is just a mess. So you get on top of somebody and you're just basically like, yep, you can't talk to your command. No one knows what's going on. It just turns into a jumbled mess. And
Yeah.
I'm still going 94 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as a umbrella disrupting ECM unit, this seems not bad because it can just run up to wherever it needs to and be like, hi, you don't get that C3 data anymore.
Yeah. It also affects Artemis, doesn't it?
Yes, it affects Artemis
Yeah.
C3. It doesn't quite exist yet, but in the future it will, and it will affect it. If it was a Angel probe, it would affect streaks, but Angel probes don't exist when this is built, nor does it have the space.
Slam as much ECM into this 30-ton mech as humanly possible.
Yeah, I mean, all it does is improve on all the weaknesses and lean into its assigned role of being a scout and a harasser. B for better.
Yeah.
B for better.
And B for bling.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Praise Blake.
Praise be.
So this guy's got a battle value of a 934 and a point value of 26. We then come to the 300-D, and it has arrived off the assembly line in 3035. So a bit of a time jump, a 300-year time jump, in fact. This guy's got a movement profile of 914, and it has a single large laser in the center torso. It has 10 single heat sinks, and that is about it. It doesn't have Pharaoh. This is the stripped down version that the ComStar gave to the Draconis Combine, because it is back to that very sad armor.
Very, very sad. Yeah, this is definitely the model that they handed Theodore Kurita after when they made their deal with him. Just like, hey, here's a bunch of Hussars. And, the Draconis Combine probably saw him and was like, sweet!
Yeah.
A machine we haven't seen in 300 years. And they're like, yeah, it's totally awesome. Yeah.
I think this is the one that's the down... Or, no, yeah, you're right. I'm lying.
Yeah, no, this is a significant downgrade.
I was thinking there's a lot of the other mechs that were given as part of Operation Rosebud that got a completely different variant that was the downgrade. And so I was like, oh yeah, this is totally not it, because it's so downgraded.
Yeah, I mean, when you want to downgrade him, at least downgrading this isn't too hard. I mean, it's literally strip out the ER large and give a
Pharaoh.
large laser and then take the doubles and replace with singles.
And remove the Pharaoh.
Yeah, and remove the Pharaoh. But at least most of that within, because this is 35. Yeah, because Helm Memory Core by about 10 years later, 95% of that tech is back in the hands of the Intersphere, and they're starting to build it again. So
Doesn't mean everybody has it right out the gate, but it is available.
no, I mean, yeah, it takes time, as we saw. I mean, for the most part, most of that Helm Memory Core stuff didn't even Victor Davian was born after the Helm Memory Core, and most of his stuff that he was using during the early clan invasion didn't have that yet.
Yeah. You might be lucky and get some fancy heat sinks, but I mean, that's pushing it.
Yeah.
And that's 25 years later. So
So this guy's got a battle value of 543 and a point value of 17. So next up we have the Hsr-350-D seen in 3038, so 3 years later. This guy's got a movement profile of 812, a large laser in the center torso, a medium laser in the right arm, and a medium laser in the left arm. It's got 10 single heat sinks, and no other bells or whistles. This is just kind of a slight upgrade or side grade, because you lose a little mobility. You're downgrading that engine, but you're getting some offensive firepower and a little bit of armor.
And a little bit more firepower as well, because you're getting those 2 medium lasers alongside a large.
Yeah.
So, but even then, you only have 10 single heat sinks, so
It can get warm.
Yeah, good luck actually using all the lasers at once.
Mm-hmm.
Really, all it's missing is double heat sinks and Pharaoh, and it would be gold.
heck, if it just had double heat sinks, it would be it'd be a bit better, because then it could just toss its weight around with its lasers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's a fairly sizable laser armament on a 30
Oh,
ton
yeah,
mech.
because they're regular lasers, not ERs. I was thinking
Yep.
ER laser heat
No.
values.
So this guy's got a battle value of 731 and a point value of 22. We then come to, I think, Chandler's favorite model, the 400.
Yes.
So why don't you take it away there, buds?
All right, so you have the Hussar Hsr-400-D, which was introduced in 3052. It, of course, still weighs 30 tons. You've got a movement profile of 812. The engine has been replaced with a 240 XL. You still got the standard 10 single heat sinks. You've got 53 points of ferrofibrous armor. And instead of the large laser, you've got a fancy-dancy LB-10X autocannon with 1 ton of cluster ammo that's stored in the center torso. This was one of the Clan Buster variants developed for the Battle of Tukid by Guards, and I think they're only limited by the amount of time they had to put into this, because all it needs is like endo steel, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see a little more than 1 ton of ammo, but,
Yeah.
other than that.
I mean, I guess with how it would be operating is, if anything, I think you read its lore overview, and it basically was like it was used to deal with armored vehicles,
Yeah,
cluster
like-
rounds, and infantry. Because, I mean, against elementals, a lance of these things would be absolutely terrifying.
Oh, yeah, like, this is a, like, strafing run on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just walk by and all of a sudden you get hit by a mech-sized shotgun.
Yeah, we like our infantry as a fine pink mist. It would be, I think my biggest thing with it is if you could do like a half and half, so it had 2 different ammo bins, like half ton of solid shot, half ton of cluster.
Yeah.
But beggars can't be choosers. It's a big gun no matter what. It's still
Exactly.
gonna make
It's a
people
big gun.
sad.
It's a big gun on a 30-ton machine.
Yeah.
Especially for a non-clan 30-ton machine.
I mean, even on the tabletop, you have a LBX-10 on this thing, and just who cares? Just shoot at people. All you're trying to do is get through armor crits. You get a through armor crit with a pellet, and you might take out something. And it's like your little 30-ton Hussar just took down that Atlas because it took out the gyro or something, or knocked the pilot out.
Mm-hmm. So the 400 has a battle value of 611 and a point value of 18, and was seen in 3052 because Tukid.
ComStar.
So next up we have the 5D seen in 3060, and this guy has the movement profile of 914. It's got an improved C3 and an ER PPC in the left torso. It's got 10 double heat sinks, endo steel, ferro, and an XL engine.
It goes back to that 270. It's going 90 miles an hour, or 94 miles an hour with an ER PPC. It's amazing.
It's a little goofy.
I'm sorry. I just looking over the stats on it, I'm just like, this is just funny.
Mm-hmm. I feel like someone saw this and was like inspired to make the Pack Hunter or something like that.
Yeah.
How do I make an inner sphere Pack Hunter?
Yeah.
Well, the really nice thing about it is that since it has an ER PPC, and these tend to be used in like light lances, or in this case, light level 2s, you can it can act as either a close range fighter or a sniper and still give out data.
Yep.
Yeah.
That C3 is real good.
Yes.
Yeah. It honestly makes this machine like a very deadly sniper. Or on top of that, like just collecting data, because how fast it is. Just run it up real close and it's collecting data because everybody's in short range of the Hussar. And
It's got a TMM of like 4.
yeah.
Yeah. And then if it ran just in a big straight line, just, whatever TMM 14 gets you.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's me sitting there just being like, please die, please hit. No. That's when concrete becomes your friend. You have to hope that he slips and he falls into a building and then somehow kills himself.
I mean, momentum is a thing.
Momentum is definitely a thing.
Yeah, or falls on its rear torso, because that still only has 343 armor, which is light,
Yep.
even by light mech standards.
Well, this guy was seen in 3060, as I said, and it's got a battle value of 977 and a point value of 24. So definitely seeing a jump from that C3, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Next, we have the 900, which was interesting because it was first seen in 3069 and was prototyped out before the Jihad, but the Word of Blake attack on Coventry prevented this model from being distributed until after the Jihad was concluded. So, the service lines were retooled for their models, and they had to refit everything back, which takes a little time.
Praise Blake.
First of all, nice. Second of all, I like the light AC too. A little low on firepower, but I mean, it lets you get that light engine instead of an XL.
Yeah, and it's got heavy ferro.
Yeah.
I feel though, if you're making an entire new production line of Hussars, you might as well keep the endo steel and bump that up to like a light AC5.
I mean, I would have liked to seen another ton of ammo so that you could, play with the ammo types, because that's why you have the light AC.
Yeah, either that or definitely having like a C3 on this. Like the previous version would be nice, but it works.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand why the Blakeists didn't take it as their model.
Yeah. So this guy has a battle value of 551 and a point value of 20. We then come to our final model of the episode, the 95-D. This guy was seen in 3070. It's got a movement profile of 914. It's got a snub nose PPC in the center torso, ER medium laser in the right arm, and an ER medium laser in the left arm. It's got heavy ferro, an XL engine, and 10 double heat sinks. So neat little sort of retrofit that Word of Blake did on Coventry, I think. And it's got some decent armor. It's got a good movement. It's got that XL engine, which makes it a little fragile, but no more than any of its brothers, really. The snub nose PPC is interesting.
I like it. I think it fits with the Hussar quite a bit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's the sawed-off shotgun of PPCs.
You're not wrong.
I like it. It's got, I mean, those two ER medium lasers are definitely its mid-range engagement, and then that snub nose at close range is just gonna be, it's gonna make people have a bad day. I mean, yeah. And you're going 95 miles an hour. I know.
And you're going 95.
Praise Blake.
Now you're just going way too fast.
I mean, overall, all the Hussar designs, it's not a gunfighter. I mean, it's meant to just like run up, slap somebody, and run away as fast as it can with its hands and it's in the air screaming.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got that imagery in my head, but that just kind of is what I think. It's not gonna brawl it out, with anything else. Like I think in some of the earlier overviews for some of the earlier designs, it talks about the Lyrans getting these and fielding them to their loyalist units during the FedCom Civil War, and then just taking horrific losses because they're trained for They're
used to slugfest.
It's a Hussar.
Yeah, the Lyran mech warriors are trained for slugfest. So like, good job. You're in a you have paper for armor and you're trying to slug it out with like a Victor loyalist and probably, I don't know, a Clint or something else. I'm trying to think of a Valkyrie. There we go. That's what I was thinking of. Like a Valkyrie, and the Valkyrie is just going to go neat. Or if they decide to try and slug it out with something heavier, it's like, oh, that's a Thanatos. Mr. Thanatos has 20 questions of MRM that it wants to ask you.
You run into the wrong one. It's got 20 questions of LB20 slug to ask questions.
It's got that too, yeah. I mean, so overall, like the mech, it's good for what it does. I mean, it's fast. It gets to where it needs to be. It annoys the whoever it's shooting at, and then it runs away screaming, and hopes that the aerospace assets don't find it.
Yep.
Or some sort of hover tank or something doesn't, decide to ruin its day.
So the 950 has a battle value of 1131 and a point value of 29. We then come to our pilot profiles, and today we have one pilot to talk about, Major Joseph Norton. And Joseph Norton was the commander of the 10 Fingers of Death. No, they are not a pirate unit. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just commenting on his the name of his unit.
Yeah, it's a good name. No, they are not a pirate unit. They were a member of the SLDF, specifically the 51st Hussar Regiment of the 30 Corps during the 27th century. He is credited with providing the field data and report for cementing the Hussar as a staple in the SLDF. He would use his skill and mobility to harass the rear enemy forces, often commanding operations that had simultaneous strikes on supply depots, communication networks, and rear commanders. After his service was concluded, Joseph wrote the book The Strategy of Support. Its examination of scout and reconnaissance warfare was ahead of its time. The book would remain an archival note until it was acknowledged by the Alarin Historic Foundation in 3059. It soon then became required reading at the Nagelring. I'm pronouncing that right? It's
Yep.
been a while.
Kind of. If you're not pronouncing it correctly, you're mispronouncing it correctly.
Yeah. Despite this, the book sales still remain strongest in the Free Razzlehag Republic, and I am sure now that the Dominion has joined with them, it has only increased that demographic number.
I just imagine Ghost Bears reading it and being like, this is how we get our elementals there faster.
Hussar 2C when.
Omni Hussars for more
Omni
Ghost Bear.
Hussars. I can see it. I can dig it. Be one of those Omnis that you can only switch out one thing, and it's like one of the side torsos.
I mean, as long as it can carry elementals, what does it matter?
That's true,
Yep.
yeah.
It's just like a fire moth, man. More elementals. Faster elementals.
Indeed.
Obviously, the solution is just make your elementals move 914.
That would
Yes.
be very scary elementals.
He just teleports behind you, nothing personal, kid.
It's like what is it, Dragon Ball Z Goku Ultimate Instinct. You just see this elemental appear, and like the what is it, I forget what it's from, the music from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure starts playing.
Menace.
all I'm saying, if you're listening to this, Sir Dub Dub, your next animation, I'm giving you ideas, man. Please make this a reality. It will be awesome.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure crossed with BattleTech.
Yeah, just an elemental doing that.
That would be very bizarre.
It'd be quite the adventure, though.
Ghost Bear's Bizarre Adventure.
There we go.
So next up we have our data dive, and for that I'm going to throw over to Chandler.
Thank you, Brent. So for today's data dive, we will begin diving into the history of ComStar, everyone's favorite quasi-religious organization. No one has bad experiences with the ComStar. No one.
Nah.
As long as you pay your bills on time.
Yes. Or just make sure you just don't have any bills with them.
I'm not gonna give my Federated Commonwealth propaganda on this one. ComStar's the devil.
Damon. But anyway, this story begins back in the dark days of the Amar Civil War. During this, Stefan Amaris had not only claimed the heart of the Star League, but also the heart of the Star League HPG network, SLComNet's first circuit. During this occupation, many of the highly trained personnel would be captured by the Republican forces, but many would also be killed, either because of their deliberate sabotage in the name of patriotism, or for just not doing the right thing at the right time. Insane despots are great like that.
Sadly true.
Due to this, only a spare handful of Star League trained technicians would be not either dead or captured by the Republican forces. One of these men would be Jerome Blake, a man with what can only be described as a sphere-shaking future. Blake and the others would volunteer their services with the SLDF, assisting in finding a way to link the B-Circuit HPG stations together, along with maintaining what modular and portable systems Kerensky and the SLDF had. As the Civil War ground to a close, Jerome would volunteer to be part of the Advanced Communication Technicians teams. These groups would be sent in shortly after an HPG was reclaimed by SLDF forces and brought back into functionality. This would be a desperately needed task, as many of the SLDF's portable HPGs were destroyed during the grueling war. And of course, virtually irreplaceable because of, Amaris holding all of the hegemony. It was during one of these missions Jerome took a head wound, one that was not fatal, but would eventually be seen as the reason he was able to have such visions and prophecy later in his life by those who believe in the word of Blake.
Praise be.
After the reclamation of Terra, Jerome would take part in the surveying and reassembly of the torched remains of the Terran HPG systems. The main HPG facility on Terra had been ransacked by Amara's forces, with the last 2 technicians of the plant tied to the main computers and killed just 2 months previously. Luck was on Jerome's side, however, as an upgraded facility had been begun on Hilton Head Island in North America, unfinished, but carefully buried to prevent tampering by Amaris or any others as the coup began. Ironically, a division of the Republican Guard would actually be stationed on the same island, well within walking distance, and it was due to the skilled efforts of the construction crews that they never were any the wiser.
Fortuitous.
Amaris would be kicking himself if he could, but he can't, because he died.
He did.
He
is
did.
Very dead.
He
very
did.
dead. He has splatter on the wall at this point, I believe.
You got to learn what the rat-tat-tat of the machine gun sounds like.
Yes. It would be during the recovery of the Terran HPG systems that the story of the SLDF and ComStar would split, as Kerensky would slowly be driven away by the Council Lords. On October 10th, 2780, Jerome would be voted in as the Minister of Communications, a title he was unaware he had even been nominated for, so absorbed he was in his work. Shortly after, in early 2781, the First Lords would adjourn the council. Jerome would still seek their approval, however, as in 2782, during his tours of the systems surrounding Terra, he would ask the First Lords for someone to oversee the rebuilding efforts of the utterly devastated Terran hegemony. For his troubles, the First Lord said he should be the one who does so, as they had no intentions of reconvening to appoint someone, much less someone who would be able to potentially rebuild the hegemony.
I mean, makes sense if you're trying to solidify your own personal power.
I mean, it's free real estate.
Yeah. If I take the Terran hegemony, I might get some of that juicy war-torn planetscape.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that's all the rage these days.
After all, it's free real estate.
Given such reins to power, Jerome would fall back on what he knew, HPGs. Jerome ordered all HPG stations in the former Terran hegemony to take a census of survivors, along with any and all vital supplies on the planets they were on. What supplies Jerome was able to scrape up was distributed through the HPG station network to the masses of destitute hegemony citizens. The SLDF would throw their weight behind his efforts, adding manpower and additional supplies to his efforts before they disappeared.
To parts unknown.
Yeah. In short order, Jerome Blake stumbled into a de facto leadership role in a de facto government of a de facto state, as the Terran hegemony is essentially ceased to exist by this point. His efforts would raise him to great heights in the eyes of the populace, one of the few people willing to help the masses, a man sharing the same sort of limelight as Alexander Kerensky. On Terra itself, the entire population would be dependent upon the Department of Communication. Housing and food provided and organized by the department, once only used for sending posts throughout the galaxy.
That's one way of putting it.
Yep.
It's such a step up. I went from just sending people's messages to controlling the people.
Mm. Well, to be fair, he went from middle management to management.
Yes.
Praise Blake.
Praise be. Throughout these years, Jerome would hope that the First Council would reconvene. They would never reconvene. In the spring of 2783, he would order the halting of all reconstruction of Union City and the Court of the Star League seal until, and I quote, until a new First Lord is appointed. Shortly after, all administrative functions would move to Hilton Head, consolidating the power of Terra firmly into the court of the Department of Communications. However, all of this progress would be shaken to its core with the Exodus. Kerensky, forced out of power by the jealous First Lords and eyeing the growing animosity between the nations of the Inner Sphere, proposed his now famous Exodus. Jerome would meet personally with Kerensky, during which he promised to not reveal the Exodus to the Inner Sphere nations until it was too late to stop it. Kerensky and the Exodus would leave known space on November 5th, 2784, leaving only scattered units of the SLDF who did not desire to abandon their posts. As part of his promise with Jerome, however, many of these units would be sworn to Jerome Blake's service. These units would form the core of what would eventually become the Com Guards. 3 days after the Exodus, the First Circuit would be officially restored, with the planets of New Earth, Dirian, Baynard, Alpha C, Bryant, and Procyon. In December of 2785, he would name the young technician Conrad Toyama as the chief administrator of the Dirian Age, a name who will eventually become quite the Shaker himself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Oh no. What is that drama music in the background?
Dun, dun, dun.
The funny thing is I can actually edit that in.
That's the best part.
Shortly after, the Department of Communications would be renamed ComStar. Whether this name was chosen as a combination of the two prominent pre-coup HPG companies, Communications Enterprises Incorporated and Starlight Broadcasting Incorporated, or as a literal spark of divine inspiration when Toyama was shocked during an HPG maintenance program is unclear. During the renaming, Blake would lay out a 2-page rules document for how the administration of the new ComStar would be handled. The chief technicians of the First Circuit would make up the board of ComStar, beholden to the Prime Administrator, but able to veto his decrees. This document would become one of the founding documents of the Articles of ComStar. And of course, the first Prime Administrator would be Jerome Blake.
Done.
And everything was,
Hunky-dory.
pumpkin pies and roses and good stuff from here on out, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. There were never going to be multiple succession wars.
Yes. Soon after, ComStar would begin Operation Silver Shield. A 3-part operation, it was designed at its core to be a shield against the coming war in the Inner Sphere. The first part would be convincing the houses to recognize ComStar as a neutral organization. The second would be the formalizing and issuing of the ComStar Bill of Credit, or C-Bill as we now know it.
Mm-hmm.
Third, it would involve the retaking of many of the Terran hegemony worlds, allowing ComStar to rebuild and hopefully expand itself in the coming years. Certainly the least ambitious of the three.
That totally doesn't sound like empire building to me.
No, it doesn't, does
Nope.
Imperialism and BattleTech? No.
Nah.
How did we get imperialism in my sci-fi military fiction?
My military sci-fi.
Yeah.
The sheer audacity of the proposed operation shocked the First Circuit, but was allowed to proceed. In 2786, Jerome Blake would begin the first part of Operation Silver Shield and meet with all of the House Lords, wheeling and dealing with them. Using the subtle trick of lying to their faces, he convinced all of the Lords that their peers had already agreed to his terms, and by 2287, the Communications Protocol was born. Simply put, this bill solidly established ComStar as the neutral organization who controlled all of the communications throughout the Inner Sphere. Neutral.
I mean, in principle, a neutral communications network and also bank
Makes
is a good
sense.
thing, like in a vacuum.
Yes.
But it's still an organization, which means it's run by people.
Ambitious people at that.
HR bores a vacuum and power does too.
Yes. Also, power collects power.
Yes. Power begets power, which begets power.
Oh yeah, we're about to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Using the subtle trick of lying to their faces, he convinced all of the Lords that their peers had already agreed to his terms, and by 2787, the Communications Protocol was born. Simply put, this bill solidly established ComStar as a neutral organization in charge of Inner Sphere HPG communication. This would eventually merge with the other documents that Blake had put forward to help form the Articles of ComStar. The third step of Silver Shield would be much more ambitious, as we may have mentioned. Here we shall stop. An organization founded, a star rising, an era ended. What will happen next as ComStar reaches even higher and attempts to capture the cradle of humanity? Find out next week on Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball ComStar.
Dragon Ball ComStar.
Dragon Ball. Praise Blake.
Praise be to Blake.
To be fair, their symbol does kind of look like one of the Dragon Balls.
It now that I'm looking at it, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Just remember that throughout all of this first section, there is not a mention of religion except for when it's referencing the past. When the future is referencing the past.
Yes.
just you wait.
Mm-hmm.
Just you wait. That Toyama guy, he's not going to do anything.
Nah.
No.
He wouldn't hurt a fly.
There's not a reason I think of him as Stalin in ComStar.
Well, I don't know if I'd call him Stalin. He's more of a Henry VIII. I don't know.
Fair. I mean,
Someone who established a religion just for religion's sake.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Do we really think he had good intentions?
It's implied. And I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that Blake actually originally posited the plan that originally turned it into a religion. But, I mean, as soon as you get outside of the original person, good luck keeping it in line.
No,
but
definitely.
that is neither here nor there, as we haven't gotten there because,
Future data dives.
ComStar could still get smothered in the cradle by trying to take control of Terra.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find out more next time.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Next time on the ComStar data dive.
Next time on the Origins of Battlemechs.
Our sources for today are Sarna, Battletech Battlemech Manual, Master Unit List, TRO and Record Sheets Succession War, TRO 3050 Unabridged, Record Sheets 3050 Clan and Star League, TRO 3075, Record Sheets 3075 Age of War.
I used sourcebook ComStar, which is not bad actually. I recommend. I thought it'd be a lot goofier, but
I mean, the art gives that implication.
The art's goofy.
The cover definitely gives that implication.
Maybe just because I haven't gotten too far into it and into the sections that are like, yeah, we were alive for this. But once you start reading it, it's like, yeah, this is all probably what happened. And then you get some sidebar conversations that are like, yes, this is what those heretics say, but this is what's actually happening. Like with the renaming of ComStar, like they give the reason of the two names from the corporations, and then they have a sidebar that's like, yes, this is actually what happened. He got shocked, and it was a holy vision from Blake, even though he was still alive. Don't ask questions.
Praise Blake.
Praise be.
Yeah, indeed. This podcast is made possible by our supporters on patreon.com/on the Origin of Battlemechs, link in the description. Our social media on Twitter is at Origin of Mechs. We also have a community Discord, the Armory of Ouroboros, link in the description. You can email us at ontheoriginofbattlemechs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review on your platform of consumption, tell your friends about us, and share on your community platform of choice. Special thanks to my friend Laura for the intro and outro. Our Ace Pilot Patreons are John Keith III, Metal Ed, and Stahlkater.
I miss you, Joshua.
Class dismissed. Everybody have a great day.
Stay safe out there.
Have a good one.
Module complete. System standby. Would you like to load the next module?
Haha.
I'm gonna start crying. I turned the corner and all I see is one of his arms just jutting out from underneath the door, like, release me from my prison. I've had him for what is this? 48 hours, I guess, on Monday morning, like midday. Nice. And I will do anything for him. Or what's that scene from Brooklyn 911?
I would kill, or it's like I would kill or die for you or something. Like
I would kill everyone in this room.
If anything happens to him, I will kill everybody.
Yeah. All right. So we have that.
It's like how I feel about the Kodiak. If anything happens to my big boy, I will kill everyone.
I'm very curious to see how they make the recognition guide versions, but that is neither here nor there because that is a much larger mech.
Mm-hmm.
By about 70 tons.
70 tons.
You could fit another two of them almost on this thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Almost had a mild heart attack there. I have my old desk chair set up next to me with a pillow on it, and Victor von Dort himself decided to try to jump from the seat onto the top of it, and there's like no way for him to safely get down. And so he's just hanging on there, and I was like, you are a tiny cat. You are 10 weeks old. You cannot do that.
I mean, he can. Once.
Once.
I don't want
Everything
to do it
can
at
be
all.
done at least once.
Yeah.